From the streets of the Motor City to the shores of Lake Michigan and right back here to the heartbeat of our state. You're watching The 7. Michigan's 7 p.m. news starts now.
After 2 devastating days, Ian is finally moving away from Florida.
This could be the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history.
Good evening, Mid-Michigan, and welcome to The 7. I'm Lauren Shields. We have Michigan news just ahead, but first we start with Ian. Fox 47 News chief meteorologist Brad Sugden is tracking the storm. Brad, what's the latest?
Yeah, Lauren, a disastrous storm. Let's take a look at the last 36 hours on the satellite image here. Here's Ian. It is a Category 4 storm making landfall right there, just to the northwest of Fort Myers. Did lose some wind pretty quickly after it made landfall, but of course it was a powerful storm. Look how slow it's moving and how these clouds are just billowing over parts of Florida for hours upon hours upon hours, and that's why there was such a flooding concern with this as well. Now it's trekking off to the north and eventually the northwest again, which will make a second landfall. So these are all various tropical warnings still in effect, all the way from South Florida to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and as far inland as actually the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So there will still be more impacts from the storm, but not as severe as what we saw in Florida. Currently, it is a tropical storm. So this is Tropical Storm Ian. It'll re-strengthen into a Category 1 hurricane, make a second landfall near Charleston, South Carolina, and that'll be by tomorrow morning. Continues to lift off to the north after that. Now, it looks like it's going to be curving toward us, but it's not. It'll stall out and then eventually race off to the east, but we could see some cloud cover from that. Now, let's take a look at Ian by the numbers so far. Anytime there's a huge disaster like this in Florida, no power, no cell service, it takes time to get the facts out. So here's what we know as of now. Category 4 hurricane, 150 mile per hour winds. 4th strongest storm to ever hit the state of Florida and the strongest on record to ever hit the area that it did. Millions are without power, and there are some islands that are virtually cut off from civilization now because the bridges have washed out, and those are going to take some time to fix. Record-breaking storm surge for numerous cities. We all saw those images and videos on social media. Record-breaking rainfall, which then led to record-breaking river flooding, and some areas are so far over record they still haven't crested yet, and they're over it by 4 to 5 feet. So a lot going on there. Now, we're going to go to your neighborhood reporter, Larry Wallace, who shows us how some Michiganders impacted by Ian, checking on family members that were in the path of the storm.
Yeah, Brad, Hurricane Ian has done most of its damage in Florida, but even people here in mid-Michigan felt the impact, and they're on a long road to recovery. Take a look. Hurricane Ian brought devastation into Florida and now leaves behind intense damage in crowded shelters.
So once he got into the shelter, we felt a little better, but then we found out the shelter's conditions were pretty bad too. So
Michael Land Jr., a community activist here in Lansing, says his 74-year-old father was at his Plant City, Florida home when the storm hit.
The house is, it's pretty damaged. He can't even get inside the house because the garage overhang is hanging in front of the door.
Aside from flooding and damages, reports say Hurricane Ian managed to knock out power for over 2 million residents and claim the lives of hundreds of people. Michael says he's grateful his dad is still here, and now his family is focusing on fixing the broken pieces left behind by the storm.
Being on a fixed income as he is, everything is kind of budgeted to the dollar. So the damage to the house is going to be something that's going to take some time and some resources to get fixed. So that's our focus right now, is to get him comfortable. Again, trying to find, get him into a place to be comfortable and, food and so on and so forth. And then we got to figure out how to get the place fixed.
Michael plans to fly to Florida next week and give back to the community his father has called home for the last 5 years. And he's encouraging other Michiganders to step up and help in this time of need.
Hopefully, more grandkids and more more children come down there to help the people in that park. And this is just one park, because there's tons of these parks in Florida. So there's a lot of help that's going to be needed down there.
Now Michael and his family has actually started a GoFundMe to help their father. And if you want to contribute, all you got to do is head on over to our website, fox47news.com. I put all of that information on there. For now, I'm your Southside Lansing neighborhood reporter here in Lansing,
Larry Wallace, Fox 47 News.
Thanks, Larry. Ian is also affecting flights out of Metro Detroit. Today, 28 flights were delayed and 32 more were canceled, according to FlightAware. They say there were more than 1,900 delays and almost 4,000 cancellations nationwide today. Stay with Fox 47 News as we continue to follow this developing story, and let's hope for the best for our friends in Florida.